Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Howdy, I'm Rob.
Oh, brother. It's going to be one of those nights,
there
folks.
You go.
Hold on to your hats and glasses. All right, I'm Joan. I'm so glad that you decided to join us, whether you are watching us live tonight, Sunday night, 7 p.m., instead of our normal Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We unfortunately had to... CW Oz says, howdy, Rob and Joan.
Howdy, partner.
Anyway, because of the hurricane, we had to cancel the Wednesday night show that this was supposed to premiere on. So we're sorry about that, but we're really glad that they could join us. Here, Marjorie Deering says, glad to be here for a Sunday night special. Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
Love the hat. Oh, no, Marjorie, let's not encourage him. Anyway. Oh, Joe Conchel says, howdy,
Howdy, Joe.
Oh, great. This is going to be a good night. Now I forget my line of thought completely. Anyway, whether you're watching us live tonight on the special Sunday show, or you're listening to the podcast, or you're watching this podcast at a later date, we are so glad that you decided to join our audience. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment. We love your comments. We really do.
We do.
All the time.
Especially good ones.
Two things that I wanted to say before we got started.
Mm-hmm.
I finally finished Linda's first book, The Mah Jongg Murders. Love the book. She's getting a 5-star review as soon as I get off my duff and sit down and read and write it. It was a joy. I love the characters. I love the plot, and I want to live in that neighborhood, actually. We don't. And I also finished, finally, Siren Song 2, also another 5-star. I love Siren Song. Siren Song 2 was actually even better. And, oh, yeah, this is by George Desmukes. And I was very, very happy to read that. And I owe him a review also.
Okay, and I also finished book 3 in the Magnolia Bluff series, The Great Peanut Butter Conspiracy by Cindy Davis. And she gets 5 stars too, but it hasn't gotten onto Amazon yet because I haven't put it there yet. I will, I promise. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen this week. But,
yeah, for sure. For real.
Anyway, let's move along here. Voice of Indie podcast right after this show. Just a reminder, on Wednesdays, not tonight, but on Wednesdays, blogtalkradio.com. And that's Beam Weeks, and Steve and Gary G's do a great job interviewing and telling about all their things that they have to do. This week's guest is Jan Sykes, as many of us know her from the internet. And that's going to be on October 26th, Wednesday. And then, let's see, episode rewind this Saturday will be Pamela S. Canepa. And she does the time travel and hurricane
she does.
Book.
And any of you that are on Twitter have probably retweeted her for years. Yeah.
Okay. And then this Wednesday, just a couple days from now, our regular time, the show will go on October 26th. Right here where you're watching. Marcy and Rob Korn are going to be on, and they're going to talk about a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Especially their latest book
yes.
about the Titanic. Sounds pretty cool.
It does sound
all
cool.
Right. And then November 2nd, we have a special surprise. I don't think we've talked about this yet, but we have New York Times bestseller Anne Hillerman will be our guest on Wednesday, November 2nd at 7 o'clock. So you won't want to miss that. Do you want to tell folks a little bit about her?
Okay. Her dad was Tony Hillerman. I've been reading him since his first book came out and read all of his books until the day he died. He was one of my favorite authors. James Patterson and Tony Hillerman were both my favorite authors. And so Anne has also been a New York Times bestseller in her own right. She wrote nonfiction until her dad died. And then his fans kept saying, please continue his books. And she did. And she's done a wonderful job. She does it now from, if any of you have read it, it's about Jim Chi and Lieutenant Joe Leaphorn. Right now it's a TV series on one of the streaming services called AMC, called Dark Wind. That's Tony Hillerman's books. And she does it from Bernadette Manuelito's perspective, who's also a part of the Jim Chi, Joe Leaphorn characters in the book. And she's done a great job of keeping her dad's stories alive and fresh and new and just really good. So she'll be on, and it's pretty exciting.
So it's Wednesday, November 2nd, so be sure to spread the word and join us.
His first book was published in 1970, so that's how long I've been reading his books.
Yeah,
that's how long
been scouring the libraries.
Yeah, because we had 6 kids, and so I would go to the library, and all of our kids know who Tony Hillerman is because they would help me look for those books.
Anyway, we're excited about it. I hope you will be too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So now, why don't we bring in
our guest,
the last group from the Magnolia Bluff, Texas
series
gang.
I know, I'm so excited.
And here we go. Come on in, Linda and Kelly. How are
Hello.
you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Great. And howdy from
Howdy.
Linda.
Howdy from Magnolia Bluff, Texas.
Please.
I thought you were going to wear your hat, Rob. I would have worn mine.
We should know by now, Linda.
I know. Didn't think about it.
There you go.
Thank you for your kind words, Joan, about the Mah Jongg Murders. That I really did live in that neighborhood.
I love that neighborhood. I mean, all y'all, you need to read that because, it's wonderful. It really.
Well, I changed the name of the neighborhood, but it was a gated community with 27 holes of golf and tennis courts. And
did you live was it on a reservoir?
No, they were man-made lakes. One might have been natural, but years and years ago, it had been a plantation.
Awesome.
And so the descendants of the plantation owner had, back in the 60s, and we would drive by it on our way back from Alabama. There was a water tower there, and I kept thinking, I wonder what that is. And finally, one day, we decided to go in there and bought a house that day. It was going to be our forever retirement home. And then 2 little red-haired grandchildren were born.
Aww.
So here we are in North Fort Worth.
Well, of course, you have to go where the grandkids are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But we really enjoyed living there.
I'm a natural redhead till my hair turned white. It started turning white. Whether you know it or not, you people, but anyone that's a ginger, your hair actually starts going like blonde when you're in your 30s and your 40s, and then it turns white.
White, yeah.
It happened to my aunt also. Joe Conjal says, Linda, grab your hat during the commercial break.
Should I get mine too? I've got one as well.
I think I'm probably going to get mine too. I'll go ahead and get mine that I wear all the time when I'm camping.
Well, thank you for having me and Kelly on your show. It's a real honor to be here.
I am really excited. I really want to hear about your book, Linda, the one that you have. I'm going to bring it up right now. It's called The Dewey Decimal Dilemma. Look at this precious little poodle puppy on the front.
Looks a whole lot like my poodle Piper when she was a baby.
It does look like your poodle Piper. Just precious.
She's older now, and that the white and the black are kind of blending together to make one gray.
Yeah.
So this is book 7, right?
This is book 7.
And it's out already?
It's already out. It just came out a couple days ago, right?
Out on the 20th.
On the 20th, yeah.
And I love Magnolia Bluff. Someone asked me recently, in fact, it was Richard Swint, one of the underground authors, if I could identify a major theme that permeates throughout the series, besides murder and mayhem.
Yeah, that does get in there.
It's, I think, that small town atmosphere that we were talking before the show began. People are concerned with other people. Sometimes it comes across as gossip. But all of the characters in Magnolia I could almost say they're real life characters. I talk about them all the time.
I really would like to try some of that really good wood-fired coffee.
Well, we have one of those here in Keller.
Oh, let's go.
And you're going to have to come to Keller.
There you go.
It's really good. It's really good. When CW created Carrie Thurgood in the coffee shop, he really didn't know what wood-fired coffee tastes like.
Really?
About it. Didn't really know how it was made, so he did a lot of research on that. And you were talking about Tony Hillerman.
Yes.
He really was an inspiration to me and to my writing. I've read all of his books. And I love the Navajo influence and the shape shifting and the legends and the philosophy. And I've included that in some of my books. Not so much the Magnolia Bluff, but I'm working on my second book right now, so look for it. It might be in there.
Have you ever read Anne's books that she's now
I've read one, the first one that she wrote, and right now I can't tell you the title because I don't remember it. But she did a really good job, I thought, carrying on the tradition of her father.
Yeah, especially from Bernadette's perspective, exactly. But yeah. Exactly. So you're probably as excited as we are that she's going to be on our show.
I am.
And she writes to us all the time now. I'm like, oh my God, I've
like
died
crazy.
and gone to heaven.
Well, I'm writing more than I ever dreamed I would.
That's wonderul.
We'll probably have James Patterson on next.
He's on TV a lot these days. So good luck with getting
in Easter bunny suits and everything. Let me give a few comments here. Marjorie Deering said a cross on the pup's chest to go with the crosses on your wall, Linda.
Yeah.
And Roxanne said, I love this series. Good, Roxanne, since you're part of it.
Well, you'd just be surprised that anyone in Magnolia Bluff would ever be murdered because we have in our series a Presbyterian church, a Baptist church, an Episcopal church.
Equal opportunity, right?
Church. Everybody goes to church on Sundays.
Equal opportunity.
Oh my gosh, you can walk across the street and go to a second service. It's like amazing.
It is.
CW Hawes says, I don't drink coffee.
Well, there you go.
Oh, no.
Roxanne said, Linda's amazing. Are you really American though, CW? I'm not sure. And then Roxanne said, heck yes, about loving the series. So anyway, Linda is, as Caleb says, folks keep dying to get into Magnolia Bluff.
They do keep dying. That's
very
true.
Yeah.
Well, we have to keep creating characters. You have to have newbies in town because all the others are dying off.
There you go.
So my character, let me tell you a little bit about her. Excuse me.
Please.
What I was going to do.
Please do that.
Her name is Caroline McCluskey, and she's the town's librarian. She had been married before. Her husband was killed in Afghanistan. And while she is very much acquainted with the police department there, especially the chief, Tommy Jager, who is one of Cindy Davis's characters,
right.
She won't fall in love. She won't let herself fall in love with him because he wears a uniform, and she's not risking being married to anybody who puts his life in danger on a daily basis. And then in comes from Michigan a young man about her age, and he is the college psychologist. He has a clinical psychologist office within the Burnett University where he teaches. And she and he might in the future date just a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to Richard Schwint because it's his character and see how we can blend that into our books. But, once they get serious, something's got to happen to separate them. Just can't have a female split. Married.
No. I believe in true love and long love and lasting love.
Well, you two have been married. Let's see. Let me think.
You've been married longer than we have.
Yeah.
We've been married 46 years. You've been married 50.
Been married 58 years.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wait, were you 12 when you got married?
Almost. Caleb was still in college when we got married, and then I finished my education after many years of supporting him and moving around while he was following his career. I took a little bit of college classes here, a little bit there, and a little bit someplace else, and finally found a college that would give me credits for all of them. But I didn't begin teaching until my son was born and started school. So I had another career and enjoyed it. And so does Lillian Prestridge in my books.
Oh, okay.
Roxanne says Carolyn is a sharp lady who wants all the gossip she can get.
Absolutely.
And Linda and Caleb are my ideal couple.
Thank you, Roxanne.
They are nice to the bone, and you are.
Well, we're still talking to Linda. Why don't we go ahead and get her information and start the book giveaway, and then we can finish talking with you some more. But that way, we can get the book giveaway in before the first set of commercials.
All right.
Okay.
The first book giveaway, anyway.
All right. Here's Linda's website, calebandlindapirtle.com. So that's CALEBANDLINDAPIRTLE.com. Yes. And Linda's email is that an I, Linda?
LS.
No, that's an L. That makes sense. Linda. LSGP2019@yahoo.com. And here is the book giveaway.
The first 3 people to email her email address will win an e-book copy of Dewey Decimal Dilemma, which is out now. So that one will come out pretty soon.
And you guys better do it because I'm sure it's a really good book.
Get your typing fingers going.
Yes.
All right. Now, Linda, tell us a little more about your book without giving away the whole thing.
Right.
I won't tell you who the murderer is, or
No.
have to read the book to discover that.
Yes.
I have some really interesting characters in the book. I have a writer's critique group. It's called the MBWA. I always used that acronym when I was a principal of Managed by Walking Around, but it fit Magnolia Bluff perfectly, the Magnolia Bluff Writers Association. And the book begins with the critique group. And the town's newspaper editor is such a curmudgeon. He really brings their newest, youngest member to tears, criticizing her work.
Oh.
And that really shortens the meeting quite a bit. They all end up at Lou Ellen's Lounge, who is Kelly's character. And while they're talking, the word murder happens to sound out just as all of the soft romantic music stops. So there they are, sitting at a table, talking about murder. The whole town knows about it by the next day. Who's going to be murdered and who's going to murder someone. They have one friend who is extremely wealthy, and she's the first victim. So the rest of the book is really determining who killed her and why. And this person just so happens to be the cousin of Lillian Prestridge, who is the heroine in my series, The Games We Play. And each one of those cousins accuses the other one of being bossy and nosy, and they both are. And
Joe Conchel actually has a question about your book.
Okay.
He said, since Richard's character was introduced in his book, which is book 6. Oh, let me see. All right, let me put it up. Since Richard's character was introduced in his book, which is book 6, and may date your character, was it by design that your book came out after his to keep that straight in the reader's mind as they're reading the...
Not at all. It just happened. It just happened. I just have to say great minds work along the same channels.
There you go.
And, yeah. And I barely mentioned Madison Jackson, who is one of Kelly's characters. But in my next book, she plays a larger role, as long as Kelly keeps her alive.
Now, in your next book, you're talking about the second series of Magnolia Bluff.
That's correct.
Okay. For next year.
For next year.
His first book is the Dewey Decimal Dilemma, and I did that because of Caroline introducing the librarian. And a lot of the action takes place within the library itself.
That's cool. That's really great.
And the very first scene takes place in the conference room of the library, and the very last scene, which is a cliffhanger, takes place in the library.
Oh, so your book ends with a cliffhanger.
It does. And then the second book in the series picks up with that.
Awesome.
That sounds good.
Roxanne says, small towns have the fastest grapevine. It is in competition with Twitter, and it is winning. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a high school teacher or principal, all you have to do is tell one cheerleader something, and the whole school knows. Haven't been a cheerleader sponsor. It's true.
Oh, CW says, and Linda's book will kick off Magnolia Bluff Series 2.
Ooh.
That's not working feverishly on that book. I've never written.
Surprise. You heard it here first,
that's
folks.
So
That's
I've never been a pantser. I've always been a plotter and plot out
we know
every
that.
little thing. And I got this one started with an outline, and now those characters are just running amok.
So now you're a hybrid like the rest of us.
I'm hoping that I don't have a lot of holes in it, but I have a critique group which might catch all of that.
Don't worry, your characters know how to keep the story straight. Roxanne
So.
Birksey says the quarterback. You can tell the quarterback too. Yeah, because
that's true.
like they don't gossip, but they do. Oh my gosh, he comes in and he tells me everything. He's out there doing yard work, and
Just
all these
passing
other
it on,
retired
that's all.
old fogies are all talking about everybody. It's like, geez, you guys. Season 2 is in the wings. Bregfield and Berkey are on that bandwagon. Yeah, I hope everybody's coming back.
That's for sure.
Well, you were talking about Rob going to talk and then comes back. When we lived in Waxahachie, there was a downtown cafe right off the square. Caleb went down there every morning.
Brought home the news.
Brought off the news.
The daily local news.
Well, I have to be honest. I say, what did they say?
What they say?
Yeah. We had not been in Waxahachie very long, and I am going to put this in one of my books. We were walking down the street with a friend, and the lady who owns the dry cleaners came out, and she said, she was holding up a dress. She said, I forgot to write down the name of the person who brought this in. Do you know who owns this dress?
Oh my gosh.
And it just so happened he had owned a department store, and he knew who had bought the dress from him. So he gave her the person's name. So
That's a small town.
that's a small town.
Yep. We were talking about that before the show tonight. That is the way that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything else you want to say about your book before we go to the commercial breaks?
No, I think that's enough. I think if I talk too much about it, I'll give everything away.
Okay.
Well, we don't want to do that.
We have a couple of surprise new sponsors tonight.
That's
So
right.
let's,
Everybody tune in and watch these commercials. Pay attention.
we'll be right back.
And we're going to get started right now.
Don't get your hats or anything because you need to see the commercials.
Don't go away, folks.
We do.
Welcome to Magnolia Bluff, Texas, a small town in the heart of the Texas Hill Country near Burnett Reservoir. A town where everyone's business is discussed at the local coffee shop.
A town where neighbors look out for each other. A town not insulated from murder and mayhem. Which begs these questions. Who is responsible for breaking into quaint Victorian homes? And how are poodles, ghosts, drug cartels, and a Ponzi scheme connected with a serial killer? Caroline McCluskey, the town's librarian, catalogs books using the Dewey Decimal System. When a black and white poodle puppy arrives unannounced, she calls him Dewey. Now, Caroline must catalog events to identify a serial killer in her town. Pick up your copy of the Dewey Decimal Dilemma, now available on Amazon.
They thought the siren was dead. In the novel Siren Song by author George Dismukes, James Harmon shot her twice. Several people saw her dead body sinking slowly into the abyss. But now, in Siren Song 2, evidence suggests that she may still be alive.
She killed that boatload of people. It was her! And she's just getting started!
Angie, that's impossible.
The cold chill up my spine tells me it's not impossible. We've got to start all over again. And this time, do it right.
Siren Song 2. The story continues. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Get your copy today.
Madison Jackson loved being a cop. A young girl is raped and murdered near Burnett Reservoir. Madison vows to get justice for the child. Madison travels to the heart of Mexican cartel country. She is kidnapped, tortured. Will Madison ever make it home? Justice by Kelly Marshall. Only at Amazon.com.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
Hey.
So you know who the two new sponsors are. Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. I guess good evening your time. Your time.
Yes.
It's still afternoon where I am.
It's almost good night.
Well, at a certain age, about 8 o'clock, you know.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
For us, it's usually 7:30, but we do stay up for the show.
That's good. I'm so, just like Linda, I'm so happy to be here. You guys are such supporters of indie authors, and that's really neat. It's kind of a tough row sometimes to hoe to get attention for your book. You feel like you're jumping up and down with your arms raised over your head saying, here I am. Yeah. So thanks for being part of that. It's really great.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome. It's our
Thank
pleasure. You. Yeah, thank you both for being on the show. We wouldn't have a show without you two.
There we go.
There you go.
So let me put up your...
we already heard a little bit about it.
I
Sounds
know,
pretty crazy.
It's a really good commercial.
Cool. Exciting.
Here's Justice. There's her book. And actually, we already had some comments. Oh, Roxanne wanted to say she wants Dewey. She can babysit or puppy sit. And then she said, Kelly, that's a great commercial. Grace Kelly Marshall. Yeah, it is. It's a really good commercial.
I just wanted to tell Linda that I bought a t-shirt with her book cover on it, walked around a couple of days with it, and I got so much attention. People would take second and third looks, and it's that little dog in the middle that captures their hearts. I got to tell you that. So I'll be doing more of that for you.
Thank you. I will appreciate that. You see, I've got the cup.
Magnolia Bluff.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we wear the t-shirts around and wear them on our trip, the 3-month trip. And
people do
1
take
month
notice,
trip,
so.
3-week trip that turned into a month trip.
Boy, that's for sure.
Hurricanes do that.
Well, that was due to a hurricane. Roxanne says a terrifying thriller. So
I just, my book is probably a little bit darker than the others in the series. It's just because that's my natural way of writing, I suppose. That came to light how this whole project started about a year ago when we all wrote short stories, and mine was a little bit dark. It always has to have a murder, a body, or whatever in it. So it's just my style. You just don't know where that stuff comes from. You just kind of sit down at the typewriter, and I guess I'm a pantser too. I've tried plotting my book, and then I would say within 3 or 4 chapters, I'm veering off. My characters are veering off. And so I go in with the basic premise of where I think it's going to go. But, there was one book, I'm trying to remember what it was. I was considerably into the book, and I still didn't know who the murderer was. I was playing with a lot of different scenarios, So as CW, I had never heard the expression pantser, and he's used it a lot. So I think I've adopted it too. So, and by the way, I don't know if you know, Joe Conjol had made a comment there. He's a new underground author. We just learned today he's going to join us next season, and I'm just excited and thrilled to have someone new and to read new material too. So,
awesome. So I wonder, will Joe be doing one of the Magnolia Bluff stories?
Yes, that's the plan. So
that's great news. He's read all the books so far. Roxanne,
so somebody's going to die.
Another person. Here's Joe. Thanks, Kelly.
We're just tickled to death. Yeah.
Yes, he will. He'll be one of them. Yeah. Good, Joe. That's great.
Awesome, Joe.
So we're going to have actually then 10 books.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody signs up to do them.
I think most everyone has decided to redo. I'm surprised at Linda being already into the new book. I'm just getting mine published and I've got a line of what's going to happen, and that's about it.
Yeah, but your book number 8, and your release date I show is November 16th.
Correct.
Depending on Amazon, of course, but should be the 16th of November.
Right.
Why don't we tell everybody how to reach Kelly now and get her book giveaway going?
While this is still pertinent, Joe Conjol says, yes, I'm excited to join this fantastic group of authors. We're so excited for you, Joe. That is good news. It is really good news. We're really happy for you. I know. All right. Let me bring up all of Kelly's pertinent information here. Let me see.
There it is.
All right. Here is Kelly's website, kellymarshallbooks.com, K-E-Y. Never mind. Repeat. KELLYMARSHALLBOOKS.com. That's your website. Kelly Marshall should be easy, but I know that a lot of our listeners live in places like Cameroon and Bangladesh, so not so easy for them. Her email is gracekellymarshall@gmail.com. So that's GraceKellyMarshall@gmail.com.
Good job.
Yes. Now her book giveaway.
Giveaways. The first 3 people to email gracekellymarshall@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of Justice when it is released, of course.
Yes.
Can't send it until then, but go ahead and type one in there and enter.
You won't be disappointed, I don't think.
No,
I don't think so either. And this will be book number 8 in the series. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little more about?
You bet. My protagonist is Madison Jackson, and Madison grew up in law enforcement. Her dad was a Texas Ranger, and so she's a member of the State Department of Texas State Department of Conservation, and she's what they call like a warden. And I was really shocked to discover that those police officers or law enforcement officers have more power actually than the state police. And so she's kind of a tough girl, but this one thing that happens is she's out routinely giving out tickets for, fishing licenses or just checking them. And she stops in this one place, and there's this one young man. He's kind of a smart aleck, and he says, "Well, I don't got one, chica." And so she starts writing, and he takes off running, you know, and then pretty soon he's running right back, not too much later. And he's just huffing and puffing. And he said, you know, ella muerta, you know, he's saying she's dead. And so they go and they find a young girl. She's probably about 12, and she's been murdered, and she's in the forest, and she's naked. And so this hits Madison very hard. I mean, she grew up motherless. Her mother was taken from her by violence. And so she grew up with her dad, you know, but I think the whole process, you know, she went to the postmortem and the whole thing, she was just, you know, like stabbed in the heart that this child died, you know, just alone and with violence. So she makes the rare decision to head down into Mexican cartel country because she thinks she can find the parents, because the child has a unique arm bracelet, indicates which cartel trafficked her. So that's the beginning. And there's just all kinds of bad things that happen to Madison when she's there. And so it's a question. She's not even sure she even thinks that she'll ever make it home, because she kind of went in secret. She didn't want to tell her dad or tell her job because she felt like they would try and talk her out of it. And then she deeply regretted that when all these terrible things happened. And she's a very strong lady, but she began to just kind of crumble, you know. So it's not a cozy book, you know. It's and a lot of that has to do with what's going on in our country today. I, you know, did a lot of research and watched some videos, did a lot of reading about what's happening with human trafficking. And it's very much a terrible problem now. Young girls, you know, and from the heart of Mexico and taken all the way up into, a lot of them go to the big cities because they're able to get a lot of money for these young girls. So that's the serious side of it, you know, and so it's a little bit darker book, you know, but it's just one of those that kind of poured out of me after I started reading a lot of this. And I saw a unique and wonderful and very sad interview with Laura Logan. She used to be on Fox News, but I think she's left and gone somewhere else. But she did an amazing piece on the trafficking from Tenancingo, Mexico. So I decided to use that little town. It's only about 10,000 people, but everyone in that town, including law enforcement, everyone is involved in human trafficking and the prostitution of these young girls. So it's got a lot of reality to it. It's a piece of fiction, but anyway, it's kind of sad. So I got into the story and that's all I can say, because, you know, I put notes here so I wouldn't be, you know, it's too easy to tell too much.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, oh, you know, you don't want to give away your plot. But
yeah, and we've met these characters. What's interesting in the other books, and human trafficking has come up in other books that we've read already, and we don't want to give away any of those spoilers either. But
well, Rox and Charles' books, we shared a lot of information, and Madison was in their story quite a bit.
Yes, she was.
One of their characters has a very prominent role in my book as well. So it was really neat to work close together with them on that.
I enjoyed their book. All right, I really have to start writing my reviews. Well, let me get some of these comments in. Roxanne said, "We are so excited, Joe Conjal, author, to have you on board, and I look forward to reading your creation." And then she said, "Hey, Linda Pirtle, who is with you?"
Oh,
when you first moved over, I thought Caleb was going to sit down.
Look at how beautiful Piper.
She's a sweetheart.
So
she's trying
gorgeous.
to tell me something right now.
Yeah, she's got something to say.
She's saying, "Get off of the computer, Mom."
Now, what's her name, Linda?
Her name is Piper.
Oh, Piper.
Piper. Yeah.
C.W. Hawes says Kelly's book is intense. It sounds intense. I mean, if you're talking about a 12-year-old being raped and murdered, it's intense.
Heavy material.
And Roxanne says, sadly, Grace Marshall, it's not just Mexican girls, but several countries are contributing in the human slave trade. Actually, Tampa, where we're from, is one of the biggest. One of the biggest. And we're not proud of that.
No.
And our sheriff is working hard to stop it, but it's really bad.
It's just one of those unfortunate parts of our society right now. So
yeah, it's really bad. It's terrible. I don't even like to think about it.
Right.
But
so
it's a real thing.
Yeah. And as far as the next book, I've just got a one-liner, and I can't say it because it would give away too much of this current book. But
there you go. Don't say it then.
It's going to be in my book, Madison is in Mexico most of the book, and so there's a lot of the characters that like Harry, he figures prominently, I think, in most of our books. But I think Madison will be in Magnolia Bluff in the next book. So I'll be using more of the characters than I did in this first novel. So, and it's always fun. We have to be careful. I got to tell you what happened. I hope you don't mind, Linda. But well, let's see. In one of my books, or in this book, I had everybody read it, and CW says, well, Kelly, that woman that you're writing about, Linda killed her.
So we're not going to say who it is. Yeah. We won't say who got killed. But
I had to go back and rewrite a portion of just a few paragraphs.
Well, it's amazing. Amazing that didn't happen more often.
Yeah, that must have been difficult for really all of you to, juggle all of that and make sure you weren't killing off, or that you were using somebody that was already killed off. And
CW has already started a list and asked us, who are you going to kill next year? So he's begun the process already to kind of keep us coordinated and corralled, if you will. So
I think it's really clever that, Linda, you're starting off first because you're in the last 3 books,
right.
And so that's
kind of switching around.
You don't only have to worry about who gets killed off, but you have to worry about who's dating who. Who's leaving town?
That's
and not
what
coming
Linda
back,
was saying. She has to get together with CW about.
Yeah.
CW says, but the replacement character Kelly came up with is awesome.
Really?
She's larger than life, you might say.
Okay, cool.
I love the characters in Magnolia because they're just, you just love reading about them. There's one I didn't mention, that's Llewellyn. And she owns Llewellyn's Lounge, and she's, if you would just picture Dolly Parton with more of a German type of attitude, but she's got the big blonde hair and the attitude, and she likes the young guys a lot. So, so she's quite a scandal.
In a little,
let's just say a lot of the women appreciate her. So she's fun to write. I have to tell you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, in a little Texas town with that many churches on every other corner, it would be quite a scandal to be that person.
In Magnolia Bluff, actually, I think the churches outnumber the bars, which is usually not the case in a town, a small town.
It's true in Oklahoma, too. In Oklahoma, there's a church on every corner. Well, when we lived there. Yeah. Marjorie Deering says lemons into lemonade by having to switch to another character who.
Yeah, she was fun to write. So
good. Yeah, everybody needs to have a big character like that. Every little town. I think every little town probably does. When I lived in little town, I was old enough to know who was or wasn't. Go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say, I wanted to mention just how much the underground authors have meant to me. I don't know about the others, but I do. I think that as independent authors, you really struggle, because we're all kind of lonely sitting at our computers here writing. For me, it was on the weekend mornings, and then have to put on a marketing hat too. And I have to admit, it was a side I really didn't care for. I mean, I just didn't want to go out and market. It's not my natural thing. But I've learned so much from all of these people, how they're marketing their books. And then the way we promote each other has been just extremely useful. I mean, because not just with reviews, but just telling the people that read their books about us as well. It has meant a great deal to someone who really struggles to market. I mean, I think it's not a natural hat, I think, for authors, really.
And if your book doesn't get out there, no one's going to know about it. Right. That's the alternative. So if you don't do it.
We were talking with one of our authors. Actually, he's a Canadian author, and his interview will be on the day before American Thanksgiving. And we were talking about the fact that self-promotion is something we weren't raised to do. I mean, you're raised to be humble and not, talk about yourself and say how wonderful you are. But if you don't talk about your book and say how wonderful it is, how will anybody know about your book? So I think that is hard for authors too, is to get out there and self-promote.
I think that's a very valid point. I think if you grow up in the Judeo-Christian values that some of us have, it was always be humble, don't be proud, listen and before you speak, and so you're right. Being out there runs very much counter to those values that we've been taught.
Yeah, it's difficult at first.
Yeah, it is.
But then you get used to it and it's okay. Then you have fun with it.
And people like you help it along too, really. Because you give us a venue and a way to speak without, using a bullhorn.
Right.
Yes. And it's really good for the readers to be able to connect with you and get to know you and know about your books.
If they can make that emotional connection with you,
Yep, that helps.
Get to know you a little bit. It helps a lot, I think.
Joe Conchal says, absolutely, Roxanne, just let me know the particulars. He's answering about
being on a blog.
On a blog, I think.
Interview, yeah.
And then Roxanne said, a fun series. The Enigma series is working on season 2. Yeah. I hope most of you are working on season 2 because we're coming to the end of season 1. So when does season 2 start? Do we know?
I come out with February.
Okay.
That'll be the first one.
Awesome. Can't
My goal
wait.
was to publish it and release it on February 20th.
February 20th already.
Awesome.
I'm waiting on doing it before or after Valentine's Day.
Oh,
it depends. It just depends on
Right.
how smoothly the rest of it goes.
And poor Kelly's going.
I haven't even started. I still have my launch party to do and other stuff like that. I just, yeah. So that's the first time I've done a launch party. I'm going to the local Eagles Club, renting a room, and I'm going to have a big sheet cake with a picture of my book on it. And we're just going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to have some of the T-shirts that I bought from you guys. Thank you for introducing that. I got some coffee cups and some shirts. And I was really kind of surprised when I wore my own and Linda's shirt, just how much attention they got. So, and anyway, I'm going to have a fun time at the Eagles, and that's going to be on November the 12th, which is just the weekend before. I don't know. We're just going to do some giveaways, give an Amazon giveaways and some books. And if people want to buy a book or a T-shirt or whatever, they'll be able to. So
in the giveaway on here.
Yep, so, absolutely.
So it's really great. And that is something we all have to do, go to book fairs and book signings. And George Dismukes always says, go to a bar and where they're or a restaurant where they're serving drinks.
Good idea.
Oh yeah, because after a few drinks, everybody's ready to spend money, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, if you go to indiebooksource.com, there's a store tab there where you can connect with our store on TeePublic. And there's a Magnolia, if you look through, there's a lot of Magnolia Bluff products, coffee cups, each book has its own line of t-shirts, t-shirts and coffee mugs and totes and stickers. All sorts of stickers and all sorts of stuff that you can get with the book covers on them and Magnolia Bluff welcome sign and all that stuff. So if you really like the series, that's one place to go, and you can support indie authors by doing that. Also, Joe Conjal has his. Some of our other authors, Indie Book Source authors, have their own.
Paul Hollis,
their own books.
Dismukes.
Yeah, have their own merchandise on there as well. So go there and check out what we have and other reading themed stuff. That's the end of my commercial.
Joe Conjal, February 20th. Well, that's what it was. Joe Conjal says February 20th will be here in the blink of an eye.
Oh, it will.
We had talked about early on, and Linda, I don't think we've revisited it yet, but we had talked about maybe making a printed set of the series. I mean, we haven't gone further with that because we're all just madly trying to finish our books and get published, but we had thought about maybe making a box set of all the books available. So I don't know. We'll probably revisit that at some time in the future.
We'll revisit that. Now, some of us already have printed paperback books.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of went past our
commercial
time for
break.
our next commercial break.
Sorry.
And when we
we'll
come
be
back,
right back,
we'll kind of talk about the entire series again.
Okay.
Bring in
wrap
everybody.
it all up.
And so hang on just a minute. Don't go away.
All right.
So, you wrote a book. What now? It's time to make the choice between self-publishing and finding a publisher. Texas Sisters Press is a family-owned publishing company. We are also authors and avid readers. We can guide you through the entire process and will make sure your work is treated with the utmost respect. Where to start? Visit TexasSistersPress.com and click on the Submissions tab. Make sure you read the entire page. You'll find out what we can do and what we won't do. If you think we're a good fit for you, it's time to contact us. Texas Sisters Press. Quality books for the family.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book one of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
And we're back.
Kelly went and got her hat.
Yeah, there you go.
I got this in Tucson. I went to see, was it from the movie? Gosh, the Oak Brothers. What am I thinking of? I'm spacing out here. Where did we go? Anyway, I got it there. I'll think of it here. As soon as we sign off, I'll think about it. I'll remember it.
Mine is too far away for me to get, but
Tombstone. That's what I was thinking.
Tombstone. That was
yes, Tombstone. Yeah, I loved it.
I did too. Roxanne Berkey says, so I think we'll create a Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles cult.
I think we already have.
Dominic says, hey all, great seeing you. Great seeing you too,
hey,
Dom.
Good to see you.
It's great to see you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my hat's way too far. I'd have to run all the way over to the other side of the house.
Oh, it's so far. It's such a big house.
It's too far to go in a commercial.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I know.
So,
yes.
See. We wanted to go through the different.
Yeah, okay.
Start with number 1.
All right, so we're going to start with book number 1 and go right through till the end. All right. Is that's
yep.
not okay?
That's book number 1.
Death Wears a Crimson Hat.
C.W. Hawes.
CW's book.
Why don't we take the banner down so we can see the names of the authors better? Take that down. There we go. Okay.
All right.
That's book number 1.
Then,
C.W. Hawes. It's awesome. Enjoyed that a lot.
Eulogy in Black and White. Caleb Pirtle
Book number
III.
2. Enjoyed that as well. Black and White. Caleb. Book number 3. I enjoyed this one too. The Great Peanut Butter Conspiracy was by Cindy Davis. You won't know how or when. I'm in the middle of reading that one.
Me
James
too.
R. Callan.
Yep.
Haven't gotten to this one yet. The Flower Enigma.
I've read this
Breakfield
already.
and Berkey.
It's really good, and once you read it, you'll understand a lot of what Kelly just said.
There you go. For sure. Mm-hmm. And then The Shine from a Girl in the Lake, Richard Schwint. That looks really amazing. I love the covers on all of these, actually.
Where's Sarah? Oh, okay. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Okay, there we go.
Then
Dewey Decimal, Linda Pirtle.
We were just talking about that.
And Justice. We were just talking about that. Kelly Marshall.
And then Born and Bred Texan, which will be coming out in December.
Mid-December.
And that's JINX Schwartz.
Right. She wasn't to where she could join us tonight.
And here she is.
There she is.
Oh, there. Mm-hmm. Can I say something about our covers? We have the most amazing artist, and he's in the UK. I think he's currently in Ireland, but his name is Crispian, and help me, CW, I think it's Thurlborn, but he is an amazing artist. I was so thrilled with mine, and I think all of ours are so eye-catching, and I just wanted to give him credit because I think, and we're going to use him next year. I mean, he's just amazing.
So. They all have the same theme, but they're all different, distinctively different, I think. Yeah.
George says, I'm here late, damn it, but I'm here.
Hi, George.
Hi, George. We missed you.
You missed your commercials.
If you're late, you missed your commercials. You all also missed me saying, I finished your second book. Love it. Was even better than the first book. I didn't think that was possible.
Siren Song
I
2.
am talking about Siren Song
Where'd it
2.
Go? There it is right there. Siren Song 2.
And I need to give you a review. It was really great. CW says Wildwood Books is his company. Yes, and CW did talk about him when he was on the show and talked about him and how to get in touch with him and stuff. But yeah, the covers are great.
May I say something about reviews? And you've mentioned the reviews that you're writing. That is so important to an author.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please post a review.
And
bad, however it affects you.
But if you like it, please say why you like it, because when I read reviews, I will pick up on that. It'll say, well, I liked it because of and I think that's what I like in a book.
That's
what that's what I'm looking for. And so then that's why I choose to buy that book. Hi, Piper. Piper's back.
She's getting restless.
The books.
Mine is too. She's whining down here at my feet.
Ours has gone to the door of our studio more than once, but that's okay.
Hey, Linda, if Caleb's sitting out in the kitchen, you can have him come in if he wants to.
Actually, Caleb isn't here.
That's why he's not here.
He's probably down at the restaurant talking about all
having
the
coffee.
Very good, well be. But today he's at our grandson's baseball game.
Ah.
Roxanne
thing.
says the books are connected but distinctively individual.
Absolutely.
That's true. And I really enjoyed them. And Roxanne, I think didn't yours have the map in the front?
Yes, hers did. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was in the Enigma one, because I just finished reading that too. I have so many reviews to write on, anyway, that's really cool. And that's how I knew about where all the churches were. And it was really great to see where the coffee shop was and everything was in town. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the map.
I actually referred to the map as I was writing.
Well, I bet that helped you, because I was serious. You could literally walk across the street to go from one service to another on a Sunday. Marjorie Deering says he does them all. They're all so different and all so good. Crispin has to be amazing. And they say that he's reasonably priced too. So that's nice. And George Duke says, thank you. You're welcome, George. Roxanne Berkey says, yes, they have the map and I do love it. And CW says Crispian is amazing. When I read the I liked that. I liked that he mapped everything out, and then I could see where everybody was on Middle Earth. Helped. Yes.
I want to give credit to one more member of our team, and that was Cindy Davis, who is an editor by trade, and she offered for those people who wanted an edit. She offered that just gratis, and mine needed a lot of work. Apparently I like compound sentences way too much. So she went through mine a couple of times, but she offered such a valuable service to us, because I know as writers, we think we know what we're talking about, but editing is probably the hardest part of writing. And Cindy gave so much just because, she cared about us. And I wanted to thank her especially because she went through mine more than once.
Great. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Her book was The Great Peanut Butter Conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Her character was just so much fun and just very colorful, like the others in Magnolia Bluff. She just roared in on that motorcycle. So a fun character.
I hope he comes back.
Yes.
Well, it depends on how well repaired the motorcycle was. Or maybe never mind. I don't want to give away anything.
No, we don't want to give anything away, because a lot of people haven't even started reading this series. But we suggest you buy them all.
Yeah.
And you don't really even have to read them in order.
No, you don't. It's nice though.
He's reading them in order.
I'm trying to read them in order.
I'm not. Joe Conjal, I know, has read them in order. He's read them.
I try to read series in order.
I'm almost done with yours, Linda. I was up late last night, and then I got to be careful when I'm reading my Kindle. I wore a bruise for about a week and a half because, I forget about it and boom, fall asleep. But I'm almost done with yours, so expect a review early next week.
Roxanne says the Enigma flower has an array of the covers at the end. It does. I noticed that too. Cindy Davis, author, is a treasure to any of those who work with her. Yes, she is.
Yeah,
she is.
Honestly, all the books that I've read, I've really enjoyed. And I enjoy reading. It's so fun, you guys, to read about the same characters in different books by different authors. That's really awesome. You just get this big picture of Magnolia Bluff and you get to know it really well. And you look forward to seeing those characters. You know how when I'm sure you're authors, so you're readers, and you love certain characters and you like reading about those characters. So now we're getting to do it in different books. That's a joy, It
is.
Well, I'm reading Caleb's second book in the series right now and wrote a few little notes about, because he mentioned the character that we all know and love, Fergus, the town drunk. I mentioned to him, this has happened already, so I'm not sure he remembered a fact I've written about. I have to remind him.
There you go.
Yeah. That's why we all need to keep referring back to our characters in series, because you do forget.
Yeah.
Which is odd because we wrote it, but we do.
Yeah, I've tried to write a little short snippet about the characters from other people's books as to what happened to them, so I won't get something backwards.
Yeah.
You know, when I wrote my book, because I still work full time, so when I write, I'm writing in chunks. And so when I finished most of the book, then I realized, and it became a critical part of the story, was in the beginning, I made Madison and her dad a Baptist. And then later on, that was a critical part of the story, she had to be a Catholic. So I had to go back and change her religion. It's just one of those things, and eye color and things like that, you have to go back and recheck. So there are people that are very organized that have all that on little sticky. As someone introduced me to sticky notes at work, and I thought, I'm using those. It's a really neat process called sticky notes, where you can, type notes in and then refer to them and just gather them up. But I'll be using that more often in the next one, so I'm not making those kind of errors.
This is what I do. I keep a notebook, and everything is tabbed.
Oh, school teacher. That's great.
And plotter. This is a plotter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even now, though, I said earlier I was becoming a pantser.
Yeah, out of necessity.
When I go through writing the chapter, I write those notes on what happened so I can remember.
Yeah. Sometimes your characters just take over and they're like, we're going this way. Make the turn with us.
It's kind of magic in a way, I mean,
it is.
I've tried to define what happens when you just kind of open it up and it just kind of flows out of you, and that's really great. You take over.
You actually see the scenes in your mind.
Yes, and you know the people. I mean, you know them as people, not as one-dimensional in a book, but as.
And you hope your reader develops that.
Yeah,
I would hope so. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anybody tuning in late, let's give you a second chance here.
Good idea.
To win Linda's book, a copy of Linda's book. It's LSGP 2019 or 2019 at yahoo.com. Email her right now for that to get in on that one, Dewey Decimal Dilemma. And she'll send out a copy to the first 3 people, so you never know.
An email.
Yeah, so email them. And then let's
second one
back over here for Kelly's. For Kelly's book. And we're going to show that one. It's Justice. You got to email gracekellymarshall@gmail.com to win a copy of Justice, which comes out November 16th.
Yes. And definitely do that. You will have to wait until the book comes out to get your copy.
Yeah, but you'll send
unfortunately, but yes. I'll make sure on the 16th that I'll send those out. So
right.
Good deal.
Roxanne says the Enigma series uses a spreadsheet to track characters and chapters.
Or to track them.
Yeah, she's typing. Give her a break. They've written, 12 books, haven't you, Roxanne, in the Enigma series? And then you have the Enigma series in part of Magnolia Bluff. So that's a lot
really
to keep
awesome
track of.
Yeah, no kidding.
And not only that, writing with another person, I've always thought that might be extra challenging to have 2 authors juggling the story, and I'd asked Roxanne, how do they do that? Just back and forth electronically, that's neat. But, I knew someone that had done that. It was a bit challenging because then they had differences of opinion they had to iron out as well, where the book was going. So anyway.
Well, right, Charles, it's just seamless. Their books are.
Yeah, it is.
Who's writing when it switches.
Roxanne says, thank you, Joan, for your grace for us. You're welcome, Roxanne. Yeah. Well, we are co-authors, and it's really enjoyable. I enjoy doing it, and it's good to be able to bounce things off of people and have a sounding board. And
and I write things backwards, so
he does.
She
I have to
switches it
switch
around
him around.
Half my sentences are like backwards. Wait a minute, no, that's got to be this way. Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he'll say something backwards, and I'll say, okay, I understand what you're trying to say, but this is not what this sentence says. We have to reverse it. It's just the way his brain works.
Yeah, backwards. Sad.
Roxy says, congrats, Linda and Grace and Jinx, really, for the next round. Amen. Congratulations, guys.
Thanks to everybody in the Underground Authors.
Yes.
For all you're doing for
Fun
Magnolia.
group. It's a fun group.
It's
and these are amazing books and just wonderful for anyone to read.
Fun reading.
It's
reading.
just,
Yep.
Thank you for all that
Talented.
reading pleasure.
Talented.
Yes.
Everybody.
Very talented group of people.
So,
well,
anyway, do you have anything, Linda, one last thing you'd like to share with our listeners tonight and viewers?
Well, I will say this. Being a member of the Underground Authors has really been a challenge for me, too, in many ways, because I've always been kind of a loner when I sit down to write. But I find myself talking to myself now all the time with all of your characters, because I just enjoy them so much. It's hard to describe, really. They're real to me. So I look forward to continued affiliation for new novice writers. Excuse me. I would say join a group, because even though we haven't really critiqued each other's work back and forth that much, it really helps if you have somebody you can sound off your ideas with, who can read what you've written and offer suggestions. And one thing I did when I introduced some other characters at first, especially with Harry Thurgood, and I think I sent this out maybe to Kelly, to make sure that I was being true to their characters, especially Lou Ellen. I wanted not to change her character too much, because she's a very colorful person.
I think too that, and I think Hollywood and other authors have found that authors and people in general really like to return to characters they're comfortable with, whether it's a sequel in a movie or a series in a book. They'll go back to authors again, like you're talking about Tony Hillerman, going back again and again to the characters that they know and they really care about. And I think we've kind of discovered that with our Magnolia Bluff characters. I think because some of them are bigger than life, and some of them are just warm-hearted, but I think that drives success is because readers really want something that they're comfortable with. And I'm hoping that comes out of the Magnolia Crime Chronicle or Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles. I hope we reap the rewards of that.
And some of them are brave, and some of them are heroes, and some of them are willing to lay down their lives for other people. I mean, you see all that in this series. And like I said, they're all characters that you grow to love, and you get to see them in all these different books. It's really, it's really wonderful.
Yeah. I think in real life, the reader can identify with this small community.
Yes.
Whether they grew up in a small community or not, even in a large city, you have your neighborhood.
You have your community.
Right.
You have that community. And people want that sense of belonging. And you can almost feel as though you belong to Magnolia Bluff.
Exactly right.
There you go.
Well, Joe Conjal says, great show tonight as always. Thanks, Linda and Kelly, and of course, Rob and Joan. And get those reviews written. I will try. George Dismuke says, characters have a way of coming to life. And that is the truth, George. And Roxy says, that is the dream. And George says characters have a way of coming to life for the author. They do. Our characters are alive, and I love them. There you go. How's that for self-promotion?
Yeah.
Marjorie Deering said, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Marjorie, for being such a great audience member.
Yes. So we're going to move you guys over.
Okay. Here we
Thank
go.
you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
And they're going to be rolling up the streets in Magnolia Bluff pretty soon.
Thank you, everyone in the audience. Thank you so much for all your comments. Thank you for watching the show.
Thank you for showing up on a Sunday night.
Yes,
this has
been
very special. I kind of like Sunday night. It's kind of cool.
And thank you for having us.
Oh, and you're
Our
very,
pleasure.
very welcome. Don't forget Wednesday to join, to visit the Voice of Indie podcast on Blog Talk Radio. And also, this coming Wednesday, Marcy and Rob Korn join us. And
co-authors.
They're co-authors. And, well, I think they might write their own, but I'm not sure.
Maybe they do write their own.
I can't remember.
Now that I think about it.
But anyway, they're wonderful people and great writers. So we're looking forward to that. And so...
They're married authors.
There you go. CW says thank you. And Roxanne says many thanks, Joan and Rob.
And George... says great show. Ciao.
And so let's what else we got to do here? Oh, we got to say goodnight, don't we?
That's it.
Okay. Well, it's hard to say goodnight, but here we go. Until next time.
That's all, folks. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen G's welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DV.com.